Welcome back to the Spend Life Well show, where we talk about all things faith and finance, helping you align your values with your wealth. I'm certified Kingdom Advisor Mark Trice, and I'm here in the studio today with Sam Chapman. Sam is one of our newest associates. Sam, welcome.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
So, folks, credit affects every aspect, a lot of aspects of our life, from when it comes to borrowing, insurance, applying for a car loan or a mortgage. A lot of things can influence, or credit can influence a lot of those things in our lives. And some people should say that perhaps we should avoid credit altogether. I disagree with that somewhat. I mean, credit is, as Dave Ramsey says, I love debt score. That's your FICO scores and I love debt score and stuff. But it affects a lot of things. And I think a lot of young adults are making decisions about credit based on old myths that are out there. So today we're going to get into some of those common credit myths and kind of dispel them and really help people try to understand credit in the proper way.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, first of all, you've heard on this podcast before that in Proverbs it says the borrower is slave to the lender. Well, there's nothing in the Bible that says you should never have debt, but there are plenty of warnings about debt, and we hope someone dispelling some of these credit myths will help you avoid the pitfalls and traps that come with improper views of credit usage. Okay, so let's go jump into the first myth, and that myth is carrying a balance on your cards. All right. So the myth is that you need to carry a balance on your cards to help you build credit. And paying it off every month is going to hurt your credit score. Have you heard that one before?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. What's actually true is credit scores reward on-time payment and low utilization. Now, what do we mean by utilization? Have you ever heard that before? Like you're getting a loan or a credit card. You don't want to max the balance out, right? If you've got $10,000 of credit line on your card, it's free. It's not free money. It is not free money. You do not want to max that out because it will hurt your credit score. Now, I've seen a lot of research that says from the Fair Isaac, the lending group that creates the FICO, that you want to maintain below 30% of your card balance or your total utilization, total available credit, any one given time. And that's really tricky to do if you're a big spender and you let things sit on your card and don't pay it all off. The credit bureaus will reward that on-time payments. And no, you do not get bonus points for paying interest. That's a stupid tax, right? The interest payments on the interest on some of these credit cards are upwards of 29%. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the big myths there. That the only person that benefits from you paying interest is the lender, right? Nobody else. It does not help your credit score. So pay off those balances every month if you're going to use a credit card. If you can't do that, then I would probably recommend to use a debit card that's tied to your checking account so you can't spend more than you have. So what should we be doing here? Because there is a real danger with that. They leave debt on their cards, they accumulate interest, and it snowballs out of control. And I think a lot of times we just normalize paying interest as a necessity or just part of the budget. But I don't think I've ever seen anyone develop a budget that factors in interest payments. It's always left out. But people carry that balances on credit cards all the time and they pay a lot of interest. That's eroding their ability to pay down that debt quickly. So, what should we do? You got to use your credit cards strategically. Don't use them for everyday purchases and things. It's got to be something that you need, or perhaps it was a situation where you needed to get something for everyday purchases, but make sure you pay them off and keep the balances low relative to their limits. Those are the key areas that you need to be aware of. This whole thing about carrying a balance and paying interest, it does not help you at all. Sam,
Right.
what's another myth that we hear?
The other one is closing the card. And it's essentially just the idea that your credit score is going to go up if you kind of clean up your credit, and the fewer cards that you have,
I wish we had a
the less.
buzzer in here that we could go,
Yeah.
like Family Feud or something like that. Yeah, that's the myth, right?
Right. Yeah.
So what's the reality? Because Dave Ramsey tells us to cut up the cards. Nothing against Dave, but you got to be careful about it.
Right.
Do it in a wise way. How do we do that?
Yeah. So, I mean, really, the longer that you have a card open, the more valuable it's going to be for your credit. So, if you have a card that you opened 5 years ago and it's a boon in your credit, but you're not spending money at J.C. Penney anymore, and you decide to close it, then it's not gonna, it's gonna hurt your credit more than help.
Right, because it's that history is what's important there,
Right.
and that can ding your credit overnight, really, right?
Right. So just not trying to clean up your credit in that way by closing accounts, but keeping things open. A lot of times, cards you just have to use them once a year to keep them open.
But be strategic about it.
Yeah.
Make sure that's. I mean, because if you have I have a large credit line on one card, I never use it. But if I were to close that tomorrow, my credit score would go down big
Right.
time. And I'm not planning on purchasing anything big anytime soon where I might need like a house or property or a car where I might use a car loan or a loan of some type. But if I close that line of credit, boom, it's going to drop quite dramatically. The credit score will.
And it's like the longer, the more credit that you have extended to you that you're not using is going to be more valuable and help improve your credit score. So it's like keeping those accounts open is just showing, oh, you have this credit line extended to you, and that's.
So another big myth that we'll talk about is the I'll worry about building credit later on, right? So the myth is that credit only matters when you're preparing to borrow money. And if you're not preparing to buy a house soon, and you were in lending in a bank locally for some time, if you're not preparing to buy a house, then your credit score doesn't matter, and that's not true. Your credit score is used in lots of different ways.
Right.
Insurance companies also sometimes will use credit-based scoring for how much you pay for your car insurance or your homeowner's insurance. Landlords and some employers will do a credit check. We do a credit check just to make sure that you're not carrying a lot of debt. Working in a financial advisor office, that can be a stressor that might cause you to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And plus, you need credit for just more than buying a house. You need things for lots of different reasons for that if you use credit. We're proponents of saving up for what you want and paying cash for it, but sometimes you need to do that, and it's not just something that you pick up a few weeks before you apply for that home loan or car loan. And believe it or not, having poor credit increases the cost of living in many different areas of our lives. And if we neglect it today, it really limits our options for the future. So make sure that you're working on taking care of your credit score regardless of your financial situation, because it will come in handy someday should you need it. The way that we recommend people to do this, Sam, is that, excuse me, I hit the microphone. We need to treat credit like it's part of our financial reputation, right? Because I can look good on paper, and then they'll pull my credit score, and then all of a sudden I don't look as good as I did on paper.
Right.
It tells how we are responsible, how well we're stewarding what little debt we carry, but we still need to do that. And so if you build those habits early and you're consistent with that, like we said in the first myth, if you pay off your balance every month, or you keep your credit utilization below certain levels, all those things are going to do that. And I've even been to a situation, a point where I try to talk to my children about that. I had one of my 19-year-olds want to get a credit card for his, quote, business. Hopefully he's not watching me do this air quotes here. But but I warned him against that, and I shared stories of how debt negatively impacted me when I was young. And so you want to teach your children about the proper way to use credit, not just rely on them to figure it out on their own, because they're going to get influenced in a negative way. There used to be, if you go to a college campus, there was usually some cute girl there in front of the bookstore that was trying to get you to sign up for a Discover card, and she would give you a pizza or a T-shirt if you signed up for the Discover card. And so that's not the way to do it. We need to teach our children to handle debt properly in a way that's honoring to the Lord. So let's look at this from all these things from a spiritual perspective, Sam. Why don't you read our verse for the day?
Yeah, it's Romans 13:8. It says, "Let no debt remain outstanding except the continuing debt to love one another, for whoever loves others has fulfilled the law."
So I think Paul here is saying that, God values faithfulness and responsibility, including paying what we owe on time, right? We're to pay off our debts. This is not the Jewish custom of forgiving your debts every 7 years. I can't imagine buying a house on a 7-year window, but
Was that called Jubilee or something?
the year of Jubilee,
Yeah.
yes. So, as we said earlier, the Bible doesn't explicitly forbid the use of debt or borrowing money, but there's lots of dangers with it. It warns us. Scripture warns us about the use of debt. Debt can be a hindrance to your financial life and your spiritual life.
Mm-hmm.
Those types of things are important. So, I believe Christians can take on debt if necessary, as long as it's being handled with wisdom and payments are manageable and they are paying off the debt as quickly as possible. Those are some things there. We live in a culture, Sam, where we're encouraged to take debt. You have it now. We want to have it now, so we just take out a loan to get it now. And we focus on the affordability of the payments and whether or not we can make that monthly payment instead of looking at the overall cost of the debt.
Right. Yeah.
Which in the case of a home, I mean, you can be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest payments. Please no one text me or contact us on the website arguing with me about how it's important to pay interest so that you can deduct it on your taxes. Do not do it. Because I will fight you on that every time. That's not a good reason to have interest payments for your home. So, Sam, what are some questions that our listeners can be considering when it comes to use of credit?
One is just, am I making credit decisions based on facts or advice?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I, like you're saying, paying unnecessary interest? Third one is just like, what is wise stewardship? What does that look like?
Have you seen the movie? I can't remember now. It was a shopping movie. It was, Confessions of a Shopaholic.
Oh, yeah, I've seen parts of it.
Yeah. So I'm thinking of that movie and the girl, and she would freeze her credit cards in the freezer, put it in a block of ice, and she would have to chip it away to use it.
The debt collector guy is trying to find her.
Be sure you're using credit responsibly, because these disciplines are small decisions, but they create wealth in the future if you use it properly. So look at your old credit habits. Make sure you're not following the old bad advice. I recommend everybody can pull their credit report at least once a year. You can go to annualcreditreport.com and you can get a free credit report. You don't need to buy any of the stuff that they try to pitch you with that, but you can get a copy from each of the major Equifax, TransUnion, and I can't remember them off my head, but you can get all three of them download to see which accounts are open in your name. Are there anything suspicious on there that you didn't know that you had? Are you making timely payments? These are what lenders look at when they're deciding whether or not to lend you money. They're looking at that credit report, and you can see your score and everything else there as well. So I think this was a good conversation because I think that I see a lot of people with the wrong information about how to use credit and what are the best ways. I think the sum it up, Sam, I think it's like only use it when it's absolutely necessary. Keep the credit balances low relative to your overall limit that you
Mhm.
have.
And
Pay
keep it
timely
open.
and keep it open. I mean, yes, you can start closing things over time, but be strategic about it. You know, if you've got one card that you've paid off, and then you've got three others that are maxed out, you're going to really hurt your credit score by closing that account. Maybe pay off some other ones, then close one of those cards,
Yep.
so it doesn't impact your credit score as much. So, well, folks, thanks for listening to the Spend Life Well show. You can contact us anytime at info@clearvistafinancial.com. You can also use that URL to visit us on the web. And you can always text us anytime, 254-282-0495, 254-282-0495. Until next time, you've been listening to the Spend Life Well show.
Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Clear Vista Financial are not affiliated. Discussions in the show should not be construed as recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions.